Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's event. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be going through a workshop here through CircuitStream. We're excited to have you all here with us. Before I kick off, I'd just like to do a quick audio visual check, make sure that everybody can see me okay, everybody can hear me okay. So feel free to let me know in the chat log, or I think there's emojis that you can react with. Perfect. I see a little bit of both there. Hello, hello. And so I also like to just familiarize everybody with the platform here. So during the presentation, there is a chat log at the bottom right corner. We have a questions tab and a polls tab. The chat you're welcome to interact with throughout the entire presentation. The questions as well, we will take some time at the very end to do some Q&A. So if you have any specific questions, we'll try and answer that at the end as a group. And then we will also be posting some polls throughout the presentation, and we would love to get your feedback as you go through and interact with us here. So I also like to ask where everybody is joining from. Personally, I am from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Thank you for the plant comment. Montreal, Calgary, Montreal, amazing. I was hoping this was going to be a very Quebec and Montreal heavy crowd here today based on the content that we have. So that is amazing, amazing. And we are going to focus a little bit on the new Apple release, the VisionOS today. I won't be talking about that personally. We will have the instructor manager from CircuitStream come on stage, and he will be sharing that information. So without further ado, I will go ahead and kick off the presentation here. So my name is Tyler. I'm the marketing events manager at CircuitStream. I've been with the company for just over 2 years. Some fun facts about myself: I worked in travel and tourism for about 10 plus years, and I am a video game enthusiast myself. We will also be having Indy join us today. Indy is the instructor manager for CircuitStream. He has also been researching the tools for Apple VisionOS and planning to incorporate this into our curriculum later this year. He's very excited to share how you can get started on developing with Apple's new headset in today's presentation. I'm going to start off by quickly giving a quick overview of who CircuitStream is. So CircuitStream began in 2015 through a network of developers and designers and creators who are pioneering the virtual and augmented reality ecosystem. CircuitStream saw a need for education and training that would empower people to build Unity and XR applications and advance the industry's frontiers. We now partner with leading companies such as, and leading educational institutions, I should say, such as the ones that you can see on the screen right now. And we focus on education for XR and game development and game design. Collaboration between XR companies, research institutions, and other industries fosters innovation and provides students with access to high quality education and resources. Industry relevant curriculums that are aligned with current industry trends and demands ensure that students receive education that is relevant to their future careers. Universities themselves are hubs of academic and professional networks, providing these students with the opportunity to connect with peers, professors, and professionals from various fields. This partnership between McGill and CircuitStream will now add McGill to the list of top Canadian universities partners with us to deliver XR development and design education. Online programs can attract students from around the world, expanding the university's global reach and reputation in the technology sector. And speaking of, we have a guest joining us here as well from McGill University. Her name is Elisa Schaefer. Elisa Schaefer is the Academic Director of Technology and Innovation at McGill. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Elisa up on the stage. She's a Finnish mathematical computer science scientist with a keen interest for computational intelligence, and she also speaks 4 languages better than I'm speaking right now. So without further ado, welcome, Elisa.
Thank you. English is one of the hardest languages to pronounce, though. You have to learn it twice because the written and the spoken have absolutely no relationship.
I agree. Well, on that note, Lisa, I'll let you go ahead and maybe speak a little bit, share some information about McGill.
Well, I'm very delighted to be here. I'm actually even newer to McGill than Tyler is to CircuitStream. I've been at McGill for a little over a year now. I started here in May 2022. So many of you actually know Montreal better than I do. But in the time that I've been here, I have noticed that it's a good town to be in tech. There's a lot of gaming industry. There's a lot of fintech industry. There's an increased interest in in healthcare technology. And it's a really good time and place to be nerdy in any way, like we are. There's a lot of potential that we can do things that are both cool and for social good. On the XR side of things, I'm more of an AR person. VR makes me dizzy, and you need to have a bucket handy if you put me in VR. But I think AR is definitely one of the most promising technologies we have, especially when you combine AR with AI in a responsible, explainable, ethical manner. There are so many things that we can do better, safer, and more efficiently. So I'm very excited to be entering into this space. And I would be also delighted to hear from all of you, because we're keen to see what other kind of programming should we be offering. What's the community looking for? So if you're looking for something that's kind of UX or AR beyond what you're seeing in CircuitStream, please do get in touch with me, because we can totally grow together. Also, if you have any weird hiccups taking the CircuitStream courses with McGill, come find me. I'm easy to Google. You type Elisa SCS McGill, you find my staff webpage, and then you can invade my Zoom office hours and make your demands, and I can see how I can make that happen. I can maybe possibly also figure out some of your programming issues, because I have been decades at this already. I'll be sticking around here in case anybody has any particular concerns, but I do think this is an exciting opportunity for all of us. And anything you guys need, hook it up now, show up in my office hours, or just drop me an email. I'm also on the CircuitStream Discord. If you happen to find me there, should be easy to find. I'm going to write in the chat what my Discord ID is. I'm not allowed to conduct any official business on Discord, though it has to be on McGill channels. So you can just briefly get in touch. And then if you want to talk shop, email or Zoom. It's great to have you all here. Perfect. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you so much, Elisa, for joining us here today. That's amazing. And I saw a couple comments in the chat, but I have to agree, the view behind you is stunning. It's a very, very nice view.
Yeah, it's a lot of people think it's a photo, but no, this is all my Christmas decoration, and that's McGill. Well, this is also McGill, but that's the pretty part of McGill.
Oh, it's beautiful. I actually thought it was a background at first when you first popped up, but no, that's amazing.
Well, nice... you can also see the window hasn't been washed, so we have some certain details, but it is realistic.
It could just be a detailed background filter.
It could be a texture on purpose.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Lisa's going to hang out here in the chat for a little bit. If anybody has any questions or would like to interact with Elisa, we also shared the contact information, the link there in the chat, so that you can go into the office hours and invade her, as she said there. So without further ado, I am going to continue the presentation here. Just get my notes back up here. Perfect. So I'm going to jump in with some information about the XR industry and opportunities within this space before I then pass the mic over to Indy, who's going to do the bulk of the main presentation on the new Apple Vision Pro. So I can start here. Actually, first, before we jump into it, I always like to engage the audience a little bit, get a little bit of feedback. Let us know what industry you're currently working in. We're going to post a poll right now in the polls tab. Once you respond to the poll, I'm pretty sure you're able to see the results live, but just let us know if you're not able to access that. We just like to get a good scope of where everybody's working as they come in. Some of you may already know about XR, while others may have heard about the recent buzz around the new Apple headset or the Meta Quest 3 headset as well. Either way, we wanted to give you a brief overview of this industry. So XR stands for extended reality, which encompasses both virtual reality, augmented reality, and also mixed reality. The XR industry has grown immensely in the last few years and has made its way into a wide range of industries such as gaming, film, music, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, and many, many more. Many companies use XR for training simulations, interactive customer experiences, project visualization, learning experiences, product development, virtual tours, so on and so forth. Today's presentation is specifically about the Apple headset. With the release of this new device, the XR market that was already growing rapidly are going to continue to grow now even faster with a little bit of increased competition from Apple. So far, we've really only seen Meta dominate this space, but I'm personally very excited to kind of finally see some competition enter the arena with them. The extended reality industry in Quebec specifically is constantly gaining traction, with over 44 XR studios currently located in this province alone. Montreal is known as a hub for video game industry as well, and XR technologies have strongly influenced gaming and entertainment sectors, leading to the development of immersive gaming experiences and interactive entertainment content. I should, just because there was some stats on the previous slide there, I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning, but this entire presentation will be recorded and shared with all of the registrants. So if there's any information that you're looking for, if you want to go back and reference it, you're certainly welcome to take screenshots. You can take down notes, but I will also send a recording of this to everybody at the end of the session here today. So the primary roles in XR are usually grouped into either designer or developer. And we'll be talking about both throughout this presentation here today. XR designers are primarily responsible for conceptualizing ideas and experiences, planning visuals through storyboarding, and prototyping to ensure optimal user experience. On the other hand, developers take these design blueprints and implement them into XR app or experience. They utilize the coding to bring it to life for the end users. So both developers and designers generally worked closer together. My mouth is dry today. I feel like I'm going to be stumbling over my words a lot. So I apologize in advance to everybody for that. But yes, developers and designers generally work pretty closely together, or in some cases, individuals kind of develop both skills so that they can start a project or an experience from start to finish completely on their own. Oftentimes, more often, we do see teams of developers and designers working together. So McGill School of Continuing Studies now offers courses in both of these areas in partnership with CircuitStream. The demand for developers and designers in the XR space has grown dramatically and continues to grow as these technologies become more common. We've broken down on the screen here the average salaries for both design and development roles. This is overall within Canada. And as you can see, they both offer highly competitive compensation in this field. Again, this is all going to be recorded, so if anybody needs to reference any of these stats or information, you will get a copy at the end there. And I'm going to share a little bit of information about the education, the courses, a little bit later on in the presentation. But since we're only here for about 60 to 90 minutes today, I want to take the opportunity and share the process for course registration, both at the beginning here and then one more time quickly at the end. So this website here that you can see, this is the link. Again, you'll get a copy of this so you can copy the link if you like. But this is the link for the Interaction Design and Prototyping micro-credential course through McGill. Basically, you would go in, you would just select the product that you're looking to proceed with, and you would add it to the cart and then just continue and proceed to the checkout. Same thing here with the development course. Just wanted to kind of give everybody a visual of what the actual website looks like. Sometimes it's handy to know where you're going as you go through and you're looking to register for a course like this. So I will share this again one more time at the end, but just wanted to mention this now in case anybody is looking to pop on. Looks like our team has also shared the links in the chat here, so you can just click those as well. And now, without further ado, I am going to invite Indy up on the stage. Indy is going to talk to us about Apple's recent announcement and what this means for XR. Once Indy's finished, I'm going to pop back up on the stage and walk you through the XR courses a little bit more in detail. Hello, Indy.
There we go. Hello there. Perfect. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon.
So without further ado, I'll let you take over here, Indy. You can introduce yourself, and we can get into the presentation there.
Thank you very much, Tyler. So so as Tyler introduced me, I'm the instructor manager at CircuitStream. I'm the one who's actually managing all the instructors, setting up all the curriculum, and also doing a little bit of research and development so that we can improve our courses. So there are some alumni with us as well. David is here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let's just gonna start talking about Apple Vision Pro. All right, so. Of course, this was something that we've been waiting for like years, right? So every WWDC event, we've been talking about, whether Apple is going to release their headset, this time or not. But finally, they released their headset after like years of waiting. And as you can see, it's not actually a consumer targeted device because they released the device in a WWDC. And not in the main Apple event. WWDC is an event mainly created for developers, just to let them know like these are the newer things when it comes to Apple ecosystem. So they released this device. I think mainly what their plan is to actually gather developers so that they kind of have like some sort of an app store, like some sort of content to get into the market with a much cheaper device. As you know, this device itself is like around $3,500 US, which is like which is too much when it comes to a VR headset. I know that, when it comes to XR headsets, there have been Microsoft HoloLens, which almost cost the same, and because that has been the first augmented reality device. But Meta has dominated the market with the cheapest possible XR or VR headset, which is the Meta Quest 2, and now they're going to release the Meta Quest 3 as well. So somehow, uh, I'm really happy that Apple has released this device, because it kind of validates the market, and it has actually added a competitor into the market, because Meta has been the only, like, the big company. Of course, there has been other companies like HTC. There's another one called Warjo. There has been, like, many good XR hardware device manufacturers, but Apple is, it's completely different, because they have their own ecosystem. They have their own, like, developer system, their own operating systems. So let's talk about this Apple Vision Pro. So I don't really need to talk a lot about the hardware, because it's already there in the out. But one thing to kind of mention is that this is like one of the first devices that had like 12 plus cameras. And the other thing is they have like cameras inside to track your eyes, outside to track the world around you. And on top of that, there are some LiDAR sensors to like immediately track the distances. So it kind of can map the world around you like in an instance. And on the other hand, it has cameras underneath the device. So this is kind of like a first, because Apple Vision Pro is not actually a device that has controllers. So it doesn't have controllers. You have to move your hands around. So anybody who has used a VR headset like Meta Quest, in order to use hand tracking, you have to take your hands up so that your headset can see your hands, because those cameras are in front of the device, right? So you have to like, you had to do this. You had to do your zombie movements when it comes to interactions within the headset. But Apple, they've done something extraordinary. They've added cameras underneath the device, so like you can rest your hands on your palm, you can rest your hands on your lap, and just do like mini gestures that can identify, and you can use your hand, you can use your head, and you can use your eye tracking to pick and choose things. So that's kind of like the first. On top of that, they have this new cool, I don't know, I think it's kind of like a gimmick where you can scan your face and kind of show that face to the people in front, like outside, so they can see your eyes and you can see them. It's kind of like a dual pass through. Like pass through is some sort of technology that they use cameras to understand the world around and kind of project into your eyes. But Apple Vision Pro, on top of that, does the other side as well. It tracks your eye movement, your face movement, and it kind of projects the same to the outside. So Apple Vision, this is something pretty cool, because they've never mentioned augmented reality and virtual reality in their event, which is pretty strange. They kind of implied augmented reality as immersive and virtual reality as fully immersive. So they have never gone with the couple of words. If you want to check the video again, just check that WWDC presentation. They never say this is AR or VR. Right? That's pretty strange. So they've given the new terms like immersive and fully immersive, which is kind of good. And in terms of talking about like augmented reality, they've given a new word called spatial computing, which is kind of like a common, like an umbrella term for when it comes to both both VR and AR. So um, what is the difference between Vision OS, the operating system within the Apple Vision Pro system, and the Apple devices that you currently own? So as you know, like there are like different operating systems like Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, like there are, and there's the Watch OS. So any Apple iOS developers here? Any iOS developers? Anybody who has used the Apple developer ecosystem like Xcode before? Who has used Apple? Nope. Yes. All right. There's some thumbs ups as well. I used to write iOS app stuff to teach back in. Yeah, exactly. So Apple had like they had their own. I mean, it's not their own operating. It's not their own software development language. They used C as their development language, but they had their own C version called Objective C, and they moved on to another developer program. What do you call it? A programming language called Swift. And on top of that, they introduced something called Swift UI. It has been there since like years. Like, if you want to build, if you want to develop your own iOS application, your Mac OS application, iPad OS, watch OS, whatever that you do, you have to use their own developer platforms, their own programming language, which is called Swift. And on top of that, you have Swift UI, which is pretty cool because it's just one company. It just manages the developer ecosystem and everything. And somebody who has experience building iOS and macOS applications is going to be pretty easy for a developer to move on to building VisionOS applications, because they use a different version of the Swift UI to build the applications. Pretty cool. So on top of that, most of the developers who are using the uh, who are into VR and AR development. Tyler, if you move to the other slide, we have been like, in my case, I've been a Unity developer since like 2015. So most of the VR applications that are currently in the world, VR and AR applications that are currently in the world, are built on top of Unity 3D engine, right? This is pretty cool because Unity is a cross-platform tool, cross-platform engine, meaning that if you build an application to run on a particular device, you can use the same application to run on many devices. If you're an iOS developer and if you've built Apple applications, you can only run those applications in Apple devices. You'll never be able to run them on an Android or a Samsung Galaxy or an Android tablet or something, right? But Unity, it has the capability to develop once and deploy to many other devices. So Apple also introduced Unity within their presentation. They told that they have partnered up with Unity to build and to support building AR and VR content to their platform, which was fascinating, right? I've never seen them partnering up with another developer platform. I think this is the first time that they've partnered up with the 3D engine. When it comes to Unreal Engine, Apple and Unreal, they have their own disputes, but Apple has used Unity because Unity has been one of those exactly, Unity has been one of those tools that have contributed to development of like so much of like over 90% of VR and AR applications around the world. So when it comes to tools and frameworks, right? Tools, Unity will be the top. Unity will be the most popular tool to build Apple Vision OS applications. But right now, these tools are currently in beta, and some of these tools are not even available. But they like companies like Unity, they've mentioned, all right, so if you want to build an app for Vision OS, these are the frameworks and these are the tools that you have to use. But you will not be able to test it right now until we release our tools. There is one tool called Polyspatial, so we are kind of waiting until until it comes out to actually test and see how it looks like. But they have already released a couple of tools, which is the newest version of Xcode, and there is a newer new tool called Reality Composer Pro, which is amazing, right? So you can use Reality Composer Pro to prototype. It's not actually prototype, to actually use as a 3D engine to build your spatial computing application. So when it comes to, as I said, when it comes to frameworks, we have Swift UI, and there's another framework called Reality Kit, and there's AR Kit, which Apple has been developing since like 2017, around 2017. And on top of that, we have tools like Unity and Xcode and Reality Composer Pro to build our applications. Okay, so let's just see a small demo. I actually prepared a small demo. I didn't really want to, I didn't really want to do this live because currently all of those tools are in beta, and those tools can make like different complications. So I did a little bit of a video. I will explain while the video is running to kind of give you an introduction to how to get started with building a Vision OS application, right? So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to play that video, and I'm going to, I'm going to explain what I was doing. If you do not see, or if you do not hear me or anything, just feel free to speak up. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a minute. All right, can you see my screen? Can you see this?
We can.
All right, thank you. Okay, so as you already know, or if you have never used Xcode, Xcode is the only available tool to build Apple applications. So what I did here is I launched Xcode, and at the top you can see we can choose different operating systems. We have iOS, VisionOS, macOS. So what I did was I just chose VisionOS and I created a new application. So here, basically, I'm just setting up some, some parameters. I add the product name as Hello World. There is something called organization identifier. It's like a common unique name that I had to choose. And as for the initial scene, I'm going to be using a volume, because volume is like a 3D scene that we can create. And basically, what I'm doing here is creating a separate project to load this project files. Okay, so this is the Xcode tool. You can see, right out of the box, it just gives you a bunch of code. The code that you can see is Swift. You don't want to be scared. This is fine. You don't really need to do any coding right here, just to see how it looks like in VisionOS. What you have to look into is this packages folder, and underneath that you will be able to see another option called package. Now there you go. So this is kind of like the basic scene that you get when you create a blank VisionOS project. You can see there's a 3D viewport, and there are like two spheres in front of you, a little bit away from the origin point. So what we can do is we can choose different views. Like they have this thing called immersive view, which actually loads that package, the package that I showed you, the 3D package, into a native VisionOS application. So what I'm waiting here right now is to load that immersive view. So in a minute, you'll be able to see the VisionOS simulator. This is actually the simulator, so that we don't have the actual device. We have to use the simulator. So what we can do is we can kind of customize our package, our 3D scene, and we can see how it looks like within the simulator. So to do that, I'm going to be opening up the Reality Composer Pro. You can see that there is a button called Reality Composer Pro at the top right corner of this scene. So this is a very new tool that Apple has introduced along with the VisionOS platform. So it is pretty much similar. If you have used Unity before, this is very much similar to uh, the Unity IDE, the Unity engine. And you can see the same scene that I showed you within Xcode is now open in the Reality Composer Pro. So what I can do is there is this hierarchy window in the leftmost side, and I can add different objects. So for an example, I'm going to be adding a cube. And as you can see here, just, there are some primitive shapes that we can add. And I'm going to move this cube. Maybe I'm going to create a small character kind of a thing, so that I can, customize and show how it kind of works and how it kind of updates within the actual scene. One thing that you can also do is you can, not just add different objects, but you can add colors. So if you are into 3D design and 3D development, in order to add a 3D object a color, what we have to do is we have to create something called a material. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a material, maybe a red color material to this, and I'm going to apply that material to the cube. So what I did was I added a small material in my hierarchy window, and using the properties window, I changed the color of that to red. Now what I can do is I can select the 3D model that I selected, and I can easily change the color of this, right? This is very basic stuff. We already have, we already go through similar kind of things in our courses as well. So what we do, what I do right now here is I just use these two spheres as two goggly eyes. So this is gonna look kind of like a small character. All right, let me just move it a little bit. All right. So now that is pretty much it. So what we can do is we can just save the scene as save all. So this is something that we opened up out of Xcode separately, and then we can just see how it looks like in the Xcode view, right? So this is now Xcode. This is not Reality Composer Pro. And now what we can do is we can open that updated scene that we created using Reality Composer Pro in the Xcode window. So as you can see here, I'm going to move on to the next video. So what you can see right here is how the same updated 3D scene that I created in Reality Composer Pro is visible in the in the Vision OS simulator. So I'm running the Vision OS simulator within Xcode itself, as you can see. So if you have the Vision, or like if you have the Vision Pro actual device, it's just a matter of connecting that device into your Apple device and just running it, right? So this is how you actually get started with building a native Vision OS application using Xcode. So Xcode, as you can see, like it's built on top of C, and it's using Swift UI to build applications. And currently, like as you know, we have different types of uh, VR VR and AR generation tools. One of which is Unity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you how Unity is used to build, you know, yeah. Um, you can run Xcode, but you don't find this Vision OS because if you want to see Vision OS, you have to download the beta version. You have to go to Xcode download page, and you have to download the beta version. It is only with the beta version that you can use it. That you can use the Vision OS simulator. The newest Xcode version, the beta version, it comes with the Vision OS simulator. Currently, it's super buggy. It doesn't work as you want. So that's why I had to create a video separately. When having the VisionOS simulator, will it run live with your camera? What does it mean by the camera? So currently, it doesn't actually run with your camera. It doesn't do that. Basically, the simulator is kind of like a 3D world that's given to you. And what you see is like, you will be able to see every yeah, so Gabriel has added a link. So basically, if you can just see the videos. I can show you the simulator. It's a little bit buggy, so that's why I didn't want to show you the simulator. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how we can do the same thing, a similar kind of thing in Unity, right? So I'm going to share my screen again. Oh yes, I get your question. So instead of using Vision OS, use an external camera via USB. It is not possible. It is not possible mostly because Vision OS is very much concerned about privacy, and all the camera input. You will not be able to use those camera inputs, and you will not, like as developers, you will never get access to those camera inputs, including the hand tracking. So you have to request certain metadata directly from Apple's SDK, software development kit, to use those data, and you'll never be able to get like binary data out of it just to do your own processing. It's like that's one of their main concerns when it comes to privacy. Yeah, exactly. So you only have to you only the only thing that's available for you is the Vision OS simulator if you don't have the device. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. And this time I'm going to share Unity window. All right. Hope you can see my screen. All good?
We can.
All right. Okay. So As you can see, I did that Reality Composer Pro pretty quickly because I wanted to spend a little bit more time here. If you compare the Reality Composer Pro window, which is the newest tool created by Apple, and Unity, which has been there since 2008s and 2009s, it has been like there since more than a decade. The user interface is pretty much similar. In the middle, you can see the 3D viewport. In the left hand side, you can see a hierarchy which lists all the objects that are in the scene. And there is, in the right hand side, you can see another property window. Like for an example, if I select this, if I select one of those objects, you will be able to see a bunch of properties in the right hand side. So if you're very much new to Unity, you don't really need to worry, because our courses, we give all of you a very basic introduction to the Unity engine. And not just the engine itself, but 3D real-time development in general. So you'll get to know how to use materials, how to use physics, how to create your own components. Like for an example, this one right here is a very small demonstration of a solar system that I created a while before, just before this event. And on top of that, the newest version of Unity has something called the build settings for VisionOS. So just to show that, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Build Settings. Let's just give it a moment. Okay, let me just move my build settings over here so you can see it. And over here, you can see currently this project right here that I'm using is currently dedicated to build on top of Windows, Mac, or Linux platforms. But over here, you can see there is an experimental thing called VisionOS. So this is the partnership that Apple has done with Unity. So basically, you can create a 3D scene, and you can use the tools that are provided by Apple and Unity to build the scene. And not only build the scene, you can also export it into a VisionOS project. So as you can see, we have Android, we have iOS, we have WebGL, tvOS is also an Apple OS, Apple-based operating system. So the coolest part is you can just build this only once, and you can keep on exporting this to either Windows or VisionOS or Android. So if you're building for a Meta Quest or an HTC Vive Flow or something, both of those platforms are using Android as the operating system. So it's just a matter of using Android and hitting build and run button right over here to deploy your project and test out in that platform. So the newest experiment. So currently it says that it's experimental. So the newest module that Apple has released is VisionOS. So it is just a matter of switching the platform to VisionOS, and building for Apple devices is kind of like it's a little bit hard. It's not hard. There are like additional steps that you have to follow. For an example, Unity will not be able to directly build onto the Apple system. Instead, it will give you an Xcode application. So for an example, in that video, I explained how to create an Xcode application. So what Unity would do is Unity uses your 3D application, and it generates its own Xcode application. So everything, you don't really have to do anything. You just have to open up that Xcode application and you have to run, right? So on top of that, I would like to show you some of the tools that Unity has already given us. For an example, you can see there is something called XR Origin. And if I look at the inspector, there is a component called XR Origin. And on top of that, there is another component called AR Session. Unity is very much into XR because they have integrated their modules, their packages into the engine itself. One of those is known as XR plugin management. So let me quickly show you that. So to do that, I'm going to go to Edit, Project Settings. And from here, let me just stock it so you can see it. So in the Project Settings window, if I select this, which says XR plugin management, right over here. So currently I've chosen VisionOS, so that's why it's not over here. But you will be able to see if I move on to this called Apple AR Kit, right? For an example, let me just go to this Windows option. You can see there are different plugins for Oculus. Basically, Oculus is Meta, right? And then on top of that, there is something called OpenXR. This is kind of like a way to build XR applications to any VR or AR hardware, because most of the VR AR hardwares that are currently in the market, they kind of support OpenXR plugin. And if you install iOS and Android, you will be able to see other packages that are supporting augmented reality. So you don't really have to do a lot. You basically have to focus on only on the application that you're going to be building. You don't really have to worry about the underlying platforms or anything. Basically, you can use Unity to build once, develop once, and deploy to multiple devices, right? There is another tool that I would like to show you. If you don't have the Reality Composer Pro, this is something that you can get started even right now. Let me quickly stop sharing from here. I'm going to share another window. All right. Okay. This is something you have access even right now, right? So if you have access to Xcode, right? If you own an Apple MacBook or an Apple Mac OS device, you will be able to install this software called Xcode, right? That's the one that I used before. And along with Xcode, you will get another tool called Reality Composer, right? Previously, I talked about Reality Composer Pro, but this one is Reality Composer, right? So Reality Composer, using Reality Composer, you can, as you can see here, this is pretty much, let me see if I can move around. There we go, right? This is pretty much a similar thing that I created in Unity, but I did not use Unity to create this. I used the same 3D models, same same animations and everything within the Reality Composer, not the Pro version, right? Just Reality Composer. The Pro version has a lot of a lot of different options, but this one is pretty basic. Let's just say that you want to add a 3D model. What you have to do is you just have to click this Add button right here, and there is a library of different 3D models that you can drag and drop in. Like for example, if I want this donut, I just drag the donut and pop it over here. So it's going to take a little while to download from Apple's current servers. And there you go. You have a donut, right? So the coolest part is, because Reality Composer has been there since like 2 to 3 years, you will be able to send this to your iPhone, right? If you have an iPhone, you can just click send to, and then you can test this experience in your iPhone. So in my case, I have added a bunch of animations to this. Let me just quickly show you how it looks, right? So I click the play button right over here, and there you go. It just rotates around, all the planets, they just, rotate around, and I tap on the sun. You can see that it shows a text. It just shows a text saying that this is the sun, right? So Apple has actually created a bunch of different tools, because I kind of like how they integrated augmented reality first into their ecosystem. That is when they actually bought a company called Meta.io like 7 years ago. They bought a company called Meta.io, and they used the same technology to release a framework called ARKit. And ARKit has been running since 2017. And on top of ARKit, they've built more tools like the Reality Composer, where you can quickly prototype an XR application, right? It doesn't need to be an application. It could be a small, um, a, a small activation for an event, or an engagement solution, and things like that. You can use Reality Composer, and you can even share this with your friends as well. Reality Composer Pro is like the pro version of Reality Composer, which actually came with the newest version of SDK, which allows you to build VisionOS applications, right? It just helps you to build VisionOS applications. Unity, on the other hand, it has been a tool that, that millions of millions people have used to build different kinds of applications. And it's a good thing that they've partnered up with Unity to so that so that a lot of developers around the world will be able to access the developer tools to build VisionOS applications. So just to end my demonstration, I would like to quickly share my screen again, and I want to show how this too, the first demonstration is the solar system that I made in Unity. The second one is the same thing, but made in Reality Composer, right? Two different tools, the same thing. I'm just going to show how it looks like. So I did not have a Vision Pro or a Vision Pro hardware to do that. So what I did was I used my iPad, right? I used my iPad to simulate the same thing, right? So the coolest part of using Unity is that you can simulate your application, not the how do I say? You can simulate your interactions, your game logic, your application logic, and everything using an iPad, right? Only when the device is available, then you can put it into the device and check for the actual Vision OS based interactions and see whether these things work correctly. All right, so I'm going to show my screen again. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to start sharing my screen again. Oops. That's the wrong screen. All right. Okay, so I believe you can see my screen, but this is the VisionOS simulator. What I'm showing is, where do we have? There you go. This. So this is my apartment. This is the Unity-based application, right? The same solar system built on top of Unity. And you can see when I tap, I use the iPad to simulate the interactions. So when I tap on the sun, it just pops up sun on top of the actual sun. All right. So now I'm going to show you how the same interactions look like when it was built on top of Reality Composer, the Apple Store. So this is the same thing. I mean, it's a little bit different because the 3D models are a little bit different, and the animations are a little bit fast, but it's the same thing. So what you see here is the same application that I built using Reality Composer, right? So whatever the tool that you use, so what we actually, in our courses, what we try to emphasize is not actually the tool, but the concept, right? So you can learn the tool by reading the documentation. If you go to Apple developer.apple.com, you'll be able to see a lot of documents when it comes to learning the tool. But in our courses, we want to teach you the principle. What is 3D? What is a material? What is a mesh? How do we use meshes? How does a mesh work with the material? How these things render? How to create proper logic? Exactly. First gen hardware of this kind is not always a good investment. Exactly. So that's why they've specifically targeting the developers. I also tried to enroll for their development program, and no, you have to show that you've built like hundreds of XR applications, or at least a bigger player in the XR market. So what they're doing is they are trying to saturate the app store before actually releasing a proper product into the consumer market, which is good. Otherwise, just like Meta, what Meta did with Meta Quest Pro is not that pretty good. It's a really good device, but they've just released it out of nowhere with a higher price point, and I don't think that people kind of like that. um, yeah, as a dev, you need to hop on the hype train, of course. That's why the developers are like that, right? So all right, so I'm going to move on to the presentation again. Let's Tyler, if you are available. Okay. So most of our courses are circled around Unity. We build everything around Unity, but as I said before, we do not teach Unity. I mean, we teach Unity, but we teach the principle. We teach Unity as a tool to be used to emphasize or express the principles that you learned, right? So as you know, like we've been teaching Unity since since the start of our XR development program. Unity is when it comes to Unity, it is one of those engines that has actually provided tools. As I showed you before, if you move on to the next slide, Unity has introduced two main tools. The first one is called AR Foundation. AR Foundation is used to build AR applications on your Apple iPhone. If you have a Samsung device, you can build using AR Foundation. If you have an iPad, you can do that. If you have a Microsoft HoloLens, you can build using AR Foundation. And the other one is XR Interaction Toolkit. XR Interaction Toolkit is kind of like a programmer-friendly interaction framework. So you don't really need to build everything from scratch, right? AR Foundation is kind of like a platform which supports you to build applications on AR devices. But XR Interaction Toolkit is something that you can use to quickly prototype an interaction in XR, right? So the example that I showed you before in the demonstration, I use both AR Foundation and XR Interaction Toolkit. Both of these tools are in our development courses, right? XR Interaction Toolkit is in our design course as well, so that you can quickly, without coding, to prototype an interaction. That's why we've used XR Interaction Toolkit to our design course as well. So if we move on to the next slide. Okay, so why we learn Unity? Because Unreal Engine and Unity has been like the biggest players in the market. But as I said, like in the beginning of my talk, Unity has been the #1 game engine. We cannot call it a game engine right now because Unity is being used for like many things. We can use Unity quickly to build and quickly to prototype something for an AR hardware device. As I showed you before in my demonstration, Unity has bundled up with a bunch of tools that allows you to build applications without that solar system that I made. I made it today before this event within just 30 minutes. I had access to all the 3D models. I just dragged and dropped all of these 3D models into the Unity scene, and there you go. That's pretty much it, right? So you don't really have to know a lot of coding to actually do the first steps, right? So you learn the first steps, but if you want to go above, if you want to go further, then you can use your own code to customize your interactions, to build your custom components, to build your custom logic and everything, which we will be touching base in our courses. So Unity, when it comes to Circuitstream, like we've been partner up with Unity since since a long time. Like most of our courses, our design course and the developer course are Unity certified friendly. So what you can do is, once you've taken the development course, you are eligible to take the associate Unity developer course, because we touch all the fundamentals when it comes to Unity 3D engine. So to talk about our courses, I'm going to hand the stage back to Tyler. I know that you have some questions. I'm going to answer all those questions when Tyler is talking about the courses. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Indy. That was amazing. I always say this, we've done a million presentations together now, but it's always amazing and insightful hearing from you. So as Indy just said, I'm going to invite him back up on stage not too long. I'm just going to share some information about the courses and the registration process, and then we can jump into any Q&A. So during this time while I'm sharing the course information, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them into the questions tab or into the chat tab. And then Indy and I will take some time right at the end there to answer that for you. Both of the XR courses have been created to teach you foundational skills, meaning you will gain the essential skills of either developing or designing for XR and be able to use these to create XR experiences for a wider range of devices. Some of the student projects you can see on the screen here are ones that have come through our courses. Actually, I guess all of these would be from our student projects coming through the courses. I always reference the one in the bottom corner. It's the VR Hogwarts experience where you get to kind of walk through Dumbledore's room. It's this one down here if you can see my mouse, but very fun, very cool experiences that are created through our courses there. That one's just one that I reference quite often. The XR Development with Unity course is designed for individuals interested in understanding how to use Unity and C# coding to develop XR experiences. The great thing about the course is that it is all project-based. So you will learn concepts in class, so you get to apply to real-life projects, with the final unit being a game jam where you can work together with a team of students to create your own XR experience. Our students really enjoy this aspect of the course because it allows you to build up a portfolio of projects and to demonstrate the skills that you've learned throughout the course. By the end of the 10 weeks, you will have learned foundational Unity skills, how to code in C#, and how to develop using AR and VR, or how to develop for AR and VR applications. So in a nutshell, you would be learning programming and developing concepts on the XR development side. And if you'd like to get started on an application, go ahead and view the website. We shared some links earlier there for you. Again, I'm going to share that for you afterwards. But this is specific to the development course. Also, as you saw with Indy today, Apple is releasing new tools, and it is our plan to incorporate these tools and start teaching those within the curriculums as well as soon as possible. I've also mentioned Unity. We've all mentioned Unity quite a few times here throughout the presentation today, but there are some other tools that you would be using. You can see C#, AR Core, AR Kit. We're always reviewing the materials used in all of our courses to ensure that they are the most up-to-date for what's currently being used in the industry. So you might see some additional tools added or swapped out depending on when you took the course with us, if we have any alum in the room. The new Apple VisionOS will also be shown up on the screen here soon once that's incorporated. The interaction design and prototyping for XR course, on the other hand, is designed for individuals interested in learning how to understand, design XR experiences and interactions. So this course is also project-based. You'll have the chance to take the concepts learned in the class and apply them to real-life projects. By the end of this 10 weeks, you will have learned how to apply UX best practices to XR experiences and how to prototype AR, VR experiences using industry-recognized tools. So that's a little bit of a difference between the two courses there. Besides Unity, you would also be using Shapes XR, Figma, Spark AR, Adobe Aero in the design course here. And again, just to mention it again, we're always updating the tools used in the course just to make sure that they're always the most current in the industry. You'd be finishing the course with a portfolio of projects from both of these courses to demonstrate the skills that you've learned. And you also receive a digital badge that you can add to your resume completion of the course. We did show some of the badges earlier in the presentation here that would be more specific to McGill, but you do get receive from both completion from both Circuit Stream and from McGill once you complete the course there. The best part is you're part of our community as well, even after you've completed the course. So we have an active Discord community of about 1,200 members. The community is a great place to network. You can get help on projects. You can ask questions. During the course, after the course, you can just connect with like-minded people. This is where we see a lot of our students connecting and ending up working together on projects together. And a few people have built games together and submitted them to Steam. So lots of fun things there. I'm going to share a little bit more about the McGill XR instructor, Manuel. Manuel is a renowned futurist, artist, and advocate at Unity, where he pioneers advancements in mixed realities and in AI. He was born in Guadalupe and is celebrated for his multidisciplinary approach to technology and art and his advocacy for ethics, diversity, and inclusion. He's a trailblazer in the tech industry and inspires, innovates, and educates on the global stage. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Manuel, I mean, you can absolutely follow him on LinkedIn if you just search his name there. But we will be running a secondary event here to celebrate the launch with McGill. It will be in September. I believe it's on September. I shouldn't say the date just in case, but I can verify the date afterwards. I think it's around the 17th, but either way, he is going to be presenting at that event. If you go to the Circuit Stream website, you can see the event announcements coming up for our future events, and it will be up there very soon. I don't think it's posted quite yet, but it will be up shortly. We would love to, of course, have you come and join and meet the instructor there at McGill. A little bit about the logistics of the courses. They are 10 weeks long and they consist of 3 hours of live online instruction per week via video conference and roughly 6 hours of independent study. A great thing to note is that these live sessions are recorded and sent to students in case you miss one or need to go back and review any topics. We also offer daily office hours where students can drop in and ask questions that they have. Great perk is that the student alumni get lifetime access to the class recordings, materials, and the office hours as well. So I mentioned that you're able to stay in our network for a lifetime, but you also get lifetime access to all of your course materials as well. So once you complete, we're still there to support you. And here are the available time slots for the courses in the Eastern time zone, just to make it easier to see if there's any ones that would work best for you. Again, you can screenshot here if you want to take a picture of that, but I will send a recording of the full presentation to everybody here. So if you're looking for available time slots, these would be the time slot options for the course. And now I'm going to go over a couple items that I want everyone to know in terms, it's important if you're looking to take the course, what the pricing would look like. That's a very important start. So we offer 2 different packages for both of our courses. Our starter pack is great for people who already have a little bit of experience and don't need additional assistance. If you're a complete beginner and you wish to have a little bit more personalized support from an industry expert and from our team, we do offer the Plus package for those students. So with the Plus package, you actually get access to premium community features such as access to challenges, premium workshops, content, and more. We are running an early bird special right now as well. We usually run promotions where when we decide to run promotions, they usually coincide with these live events. And we like to offer promotions for the people who've registered and joined us here today. So we're currently running a promotion of $400 off for the course. The deadline for this one, I think, is September 8th. And seats will be limited, of course. So just reach out if you're interested, and we can let you know if there's any spots left for the upcoming cohort dates. But yeah, this is the special that we're running here today for this session, the $400 off early bird price. I did share these earlier in the presentation, but I'm just going to do it again right now, just so that everyone knows exactly where to go if you're interested in registering for these courses. This is for the interaction design course at McGill. We have the link up on the screen there, and you will get a copy of the presentation, but that's just what the website looks like. You just click the product and add it to your cart. It's a very simple checkout process. Very similar for the XR development course. This is just what the website's going to look like for these courses. We will post these in the chat. Oh, I think we already did. We've posted them in the chat there. So if anybody's looking to just click right in and take a look, you can literally follow the links in the chat log there that we just posted. We typically run these courses every few months, but the upcoming cohorts are on the screen here. We've got October 3rd through December 7th for the XR development course, and then October 5th through December 12th for the interaction design course. And registration's officially open. We did share the links there for you to register, but if anybody has any further questions about the courses or about the content, if you're interested, but you just have a few more questions that you want to go through, we also have the option where you can book a meeting with our staff here, and then we can go through all of that information with you. We're happy to do that. The booking link, I believe we just shared that one as well in the chat off to the right there. Yes, we did. So feel free to book a meeting with our team. We're happy to go over any information that you like about the courses, about the McGill partnership, anything at all. And then it is shared in the chat there, yeah. And we can, if you just reach out to us anyways and you missed it in the chat for whatever reason, we can also just email it over to you. And now we are going to take a look. I'm going to invite Indy back up on the stage here, and we'll just take a quick look through and see if we have any questions. I do know that we were answering quite a few questions as we went through the presentation, so I know we did answer a few, but I'm going to go ahead and post some up on the screen here to start. So Indy, this is definitely going to be for you. It actually says @Indy at the beginning. So can you migrate an existing app that you have created, like a Quest Pro, where we migrated over to VisionOS? And you may have answered this during the presentation, but I'll still get you to answer during the questions here too.
Yeah, exactly. So this is totally possible, but it has a little bit of constraints that you need to keep in mind. Like for an example, if you have an application that you build for Quest Pro, which uses the controllers, not the hand tracking, but uses the controllers, then of course you can migrate, but at the same time you have to map those hand controller interactions with the controllers, with the interactions that Apple Vision OS or Apple Vision Pro has provided. On the other hand, let's just say that you already use hand tracking in the if you already use hand tracking in your Quest Pro, then of course you have to remove that. You have to use something called ARKit hand tracking to work with it, right? And if you have used, for example, for MetaQuest, they have their own plugin called Oculus Integration. If you have used that, then you have to remove the whole package and you have to use XR Interaction Toolkit. because XR Interaction Toolkit is a cross-platform package, but the Meta's own package, which is known as Oculus Integration, that package is only available only it only allows to build for MetaQuest applications. That depends on how you have built your application. If you have used the native tools provided by Unity, then it's just a matter of configuring your interactions to match the platform only in terms of interactions. On the other hand, the Vision Pro is not an intense simulation engine, a simulation device. I know that we can use MetaQuest to exercise, Beat Saber, and things like that. But Vision Pro is more like a comfortable device, right? You may have seen it in the videos as well. Nobody is playing games with Vision OS, so Vision Pro. Nobody's playing games. All of them are watching movies, checking out, like past photos, like doing a little bit of work. Because Vision Pro, I think what they have mentioned during that session and the documentation, it's not a complete virtual reality headset. What it gives you is 180-degree of freedom move, and a little bit of movement back and forth, right? If you look backwards, you'll see like your actual room instead of the virtual world. So if the application that you have built is an intense game or something, then of course you might have to come up with different logic and different interactions so that the same application can run on the Vision Pro.
Perfect. Awesome, awesome. All right. And I'm going to share this one here as well. I'm looking to create VR experiences using 360 video. Does the course touch on that?
Okay, so the course specifically does not touch on 360 video, but having learned the fundamentals, as I said, like you learn the principles and the fundamentals of VR and how this thing works, how a virtual camera works with your head movement. So basically, it's just a matter of putting a sphere and playing a video in a sphere projection and putting your VR camera in between. So we already have done some workshops in the past on how to build 360 VR applications as well. And once taking the course, you will be able to do it on your own. So what we want is we want you to think and we want you to build the applications. That's why we don't really teach like how to do this, how to do that. It doesn't seem relevant because you will only learn how to do this or how to do that. We don't want that. We want you to learn the fundamental. We want you to learn that principle and use those principles to build your own solution. But in doubt, and if you have any questions, if you need support, we have the circuit stream community. We have like a bunch of instructors there willing to help you out if you open up a ticket or if you open up a support request, including me. There's a bunch of people out there to help you out. If you ask like how to build a 360 video application, there's like at least 2 to 3 instructors willing to help you out in our community.
Absolutely. Probably even more than that. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. And we've got another one here. Let's see here. Which course between the development and design course is more useful for somebody wanting to build VR experiences on their own? From an artist standpoint, wanting to use XR in their work. So it's
this is a really good question. Yeah, it's a really good question. So just to give you a quick quick demo, I just posted a link right here. This is something that's done by me, and this is something that's kind of shared in the course as well. So let's just say you are a designer. You are not a developer. You're not going to develop anything. You're not going to develop your own application, but you're actually a part of a team that are designing the elements, right? Let's just say that you are working on a game where the player has to input a certain set of numbers, right? So how do you actually do that? Like if this is an intense, high movement game, how do you do that? Do you open like a huge keyboard or do you kind of find some sort of a different interaction? So you have to come up with those interaction ideas, right? So XR design is something like that. You learn the fundamentals of design, you learn how to prototype, and you learn like what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to XR design, right? So you use those fundamentals and you use your creative thinking to create your own interaction design. So the link that I posted right here is an example that I did, as a hobby, a small interaction design for a VR news app, right? For a VR news app. You're not actually building the app itself, right? If you can see the video of the link that I posted, that video, it doesn't actually show, like, it just basically shows you lorem ipsum. If you're a designer, if you're coming from a design background, you know what a lorem ipsum is. We call that lipsum. It's just a bunch of gibberish word. But I use that to kind of demonstrate how this interaction would look like, it would feel like in VR, right? But if you want to actually build your own VR application, your own VR game or something, I would recommend taking the developer course, because that way you'll know how to create custom interactions, custom components, to build so that it works, and to kind of put it into a publishing platform. So if you want to pursue that, I'd recommend you the developer course. But if you are a designer and if you're more into the design field, and if you want to design interactions, then choose the design course.
Yeah, and then just work with developers, because that's quite often what would happen.
Yeah.
Developers and designers work together all the time. So that's what I usually say, is follow your whichever way your passion goes more towards for development and design. And then you can always learn both if you choose, but you can always lean a little bit on a team of other people who have learned the other side of it to kind of work together. So awesome. And then it looks like we've got one more in here. A couple more. Is this course sufficient to secure a position as an XR developer? I can answer this one to start here. I mean, it's kind of a loaded question, because there's all different types of XR developers. There's all different, severities of it, I guess, or what's a better way to put that? Skill sets, people who are a little bit more experienced. So there's entry-level developer roles. There's high-level developer roles. I would say if you're brand new to the industry, you've taken the 10-week course, that's absolutely an amazing start, and there would absolutely be opportunities for you out there, but you'd have to look for the right opportunities. If you go through the 10-week course, I wouldn't apply as a senior XR developer a week after you've completed the first 10-week course. But if you continue on that journey, you get experience and you continue learning within XR, you could very much be in that position in 6 months to a year if you're kind of following that sort of track. So I hope that answers the question. Indy, did you have anything else to add to that as well?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, this is actually a 10 weeks course, right? So with the instructors, you will be spending about 3 hours per week, and it's just 30 hours for the whole 10 weeks. So what matters is not the time that you spend with the instructor, but the time that you spend on your own. Try to learn by yourself the concepts that you learn throughout the classes, right? So we really love a student who is passionate and who asks, like, as much as questions, not just during the class itself, but also in the community as well. We love all the students who are, like, asking questions. I know that David is here. David has been that person. Like, I remember he's asking, like, he is in every every one of our sessions, and I really love him, because what matters is how you spend your time, how passionate you are in order to learn this. And in terms of resources, if you have taken the course, you become an alumni of CircuitStream, you become a learner of CircuitStream, and you'll have, like, unlimited
Support.
availability of us to ask questions, and within the community itself. On top of that, I'm not teaching any courses these days, but I'm managing the community. I'm doing dev labs. I'm doing, like, live lab sessions for all the alumni and all the learners who are in the community. Now, for an example, this Thursday we're going to be doing a small Snapchat Lens Studio session, creating an AR filter, right? So if you want to know how to build an AR filter, just jump into our Discord community, and just do it live, right? Just ask questions, so we'll collaborate. So that's the whole point. So you do the class, right? It doesn't really give you the job itself, but you spend your own time building your own portfolio, and throughout that journey, we are here to help you out as much as possible.
And you just reminded me, Indy, when you mentioned the event that you're doing there. I did mention the McGill event that we're going to be doing with the instructor Manuel earlier in this presentation. To confirm the date, it is the 21st. We probably don't have everybody in the room as we did initially, but hopefully they get the recording and see this, and it will be posted up. I just reminded me there when you mentioned the other event that I wanted to confirm the proper date for that. But this is perfect. And it looks like we've got one more question that came through here, Indy, as well. How to use AR in e-commerce, if that's what he's interested in. I don't have a direct answer for this. Do you have an answer that you'd be able to kind of provide for this one, Indy?
It's kind of like definitely we have to show some use cases that are there currently. Like for an example, if you like currently it's in use as well. Like you go to Amazon.com and you search for some furniture. Not all the entries have an AR view, but there are some where you can open up your camera and you can just put it in the in your own space and see whether it kind of fits your your place, right? You can actually check with the actual dimensions. So that is one of those things where AR has been used in e-commerce, right? And of course, it's just a matter of coming up with your own innovative idea, right? One thing that I did, it's something that I kind of contributed when I was working in my previous company. So we partnered up with Victoria's Secrets to create like a virtual world, a virtual store of all the all the items that they have to sell. So we kind of created like dummies walking around in VR. It's not AR, it's a VR simulation, but it was fun. Like you can actually see how it looks like, how how these items looks like, and at the same time you can just purchase it using some back end integrations. But it was fun, right? There is another application called IKEA. Yes, as David says, IKEA Place is another application. I remember using a different app which kind of tracks the walls and changes the color. So if you want to repaint your house, you just download that application. You just look, just point your phone directly onto a wall and change the color. And if the color works, you just order the color right away, right? So obviously, e-commerce it's a very big spectrum, and you can use your innovative ideas to build something that's kind of like a niche, which kind of helps somebody to shop online.
Perfect. And I've actually I've actually used that Amazon tool myself as you were describing it there, Indy. I didn't even realize I've actually done that before when I've purchased things off Amazon for my own house here. So, and so it looks like we had a couple more questions come through here. So once you finish the 10-week program and you have learned the fundamentals, what other programs would you recommend to continue on the learning path? There's a whole bunch, but I'll let Indy kind of dive into the beginning steps of that.
So you dive into XR, right? So you understand the fundamentals of XR, and then you understand how to build your own logic. But let's just say that you want to build your scalable. You want to build a scalable application. You want to build a big game or a fitness application or something. Then when it comes to development, I would say you try to learn the fundamentals of development. Right. Some of the topics that you can think of are object-oriented programming, data structures, and algorithms. Kind of, it's more like a mini computer science degree, but it kind of helps you to understand how to build applications the right way, how to build it in a way that it doesn't like lag or glitch. The best practices of development. So if you with Circuit Stream, there are like two other programs. There is another program that we actually have, which is the Unity Game Development Bootcamp. It's a long course. It's more than 6 months long, but it covers all of these concepts. It covers how to make games. Like we take games in general because we can use games we can build games at the same time understanding programming principles and design patterns and all of these theories, and use those theories to build your own application. So now XR, and at the same time the fundamentals of programming and data structures, and all of these combined, then you know how to build your XR applications the proper way. So I'm kind of mentoring a couple of our past students who have taken taken our boot camp. One of those applications is a it's not out yet, but it's a fitness application where you have to run in VR with another person in a multiplayer. And there's another application called Core Meta. It's called Core VR. It was done by a teacher who has actually taught Korean, and she learned how to build VR applications, and now she has started her own company, her own product to teach students Korean language in VR. It's quite fascinating. It's in Steam right now. It's in Steam if you want to have a look at it. So we kind of mentor them as well, right? So not just the mentoring, but if you understand all these concepts and principles, it's going to be pretty easy for you to build your own VR or AR application.
Absolutely. Perfect. And then we've got a couple more here. How can AR help or change the fintech industry?
Yeah. So I think this is more like a subset of, not subset of e-commerce, but I think e-commerce is a subset of fintech. But when it comes to fintech, of course, there's it's also a wide spectrum, right? You have digital wallets, you have I don't know, let's say cryptocurrency. I don't know. I know it's not fintech, but digital wallets, e-transactions, things like that. Those are like some of those things in the and QR payments, Apple Pay, those kind of things. But of course, let's just say that you are, I'm going to give you an idea, right? Let's just say that you are wearing an AR sunglass, right? This one right here. You're wearing an AR sunglass, and you are now in the hunt for a new apartment. You want to buy a new apartment, not rent a new apartment, but you want to buy one. And you kind of go throughout the city and you look at different buildings, and let's just say that you can see like all of these buildings that are available, to purchase all of these places. So you can just directly, by looking at it, you can just say, hey, I want this, I'm interested in this, I want to make a deposit, right? How to make the deposit? You just connect your AR fintech application to it, right? You just do your, I don't know, AR authentication and say, hey, I want to make a deposit, just put it here, I'm authenticating with my headset. Not right now, maybe like 5 or 10 years into the future, but that's just an idea, right? So you can, like, it's just the ideas that kind of helps us to build, to move further when it comes to technology. So fintech, of course, you have mobile wallets, you can put them in AR. I know that even with Vision Pro, you can build 2D applications. So rather than just scrolling just one application, you'll be able to have like a bunch of different charts around you, so you can like have a quick glance at everything at once. Everything, everywhere, every time at once.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So anything basically customer relationships, internal operations, any industry, but that would be the same thing for fintech as well. Absolutely. And let's see, I think we had another one come through there. Oh, here we go. Do you have partnerships with companies that hire graduates? Thank you for the insightful information, outstanding presentation. First of all, thank you very much for that comment. That was very nice. We do at CircuitStream have hiring partners, and we have event partners. We have partners that engage with us in all different areas, but we do have teams of people that come in specifically to look at our graduates. We have an event called Pitch Day at the end of our bootcamp sessions, for example. The bootcamps are the 6-month courses, and that would give students an opportunity to pitch directly. But even as a part of the 10-week courses, you're part of the network. We have our partners within that network. And if you engage with anybody here on the team, letting us know that you're looking specifically for work, we just kind of reach out to the network, and we're constantly looking for opportunities. I just shared one a couple weeks ago, or about a week and a half ago, with the education team through one of the partners of mine who just happened to reach out and say they were looking for opportunities. So we do have partners where we invite to events that come and specifically look for new talent. But then we also just have a pool of partners that will just reach out randomly as opportunities arise, and we can kind of connect the proper students for those opportunities. Cool. Oh, hold on, that one looks like another one just popped up there. Does a standard salary exist for possessing those skills? I shared some of the average Canadian salaries earlier in the presentation. I encourage you just take a look at the recording once you get this. Just kind of have a look through, or you can certainly reach out to the team here and we can kind of let you know there. But we posted the average salaries for XR designers and developers within Canada as it kind of currently stands. So, but again, there'd be a lot of variance there depending on what type of position you're going for. If you're going for junior level, senior level, there's going to be quite a bit of variance there. But yeah, if you want some information on the average salaries, it's just included in this presentation recording that we'll send out to you there too.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing to that as well. Like, I really love to see our students actually building their own, right? Not actually just getting a job, but also building their own thing, right after taking our courses, because XR and game development is kind of like a full stack that you learn at once. Like, if let's just say that you are a developer, you are doing full stack, or you are a mobile developer or somebody, you have to spend a lot of effort trying to push it. There's high competition. But when it comes to XR, it's all about innovation. It's all about coming up with your own new idea. And if your idea is a niche, and if your idea is like, uh, even for a new experience that somebody would like to take, like for example, there are certain like stories, movies and things like that, which are in the Oculus store, and people have actually created studios out of those, out of their projects. So I'd love to see, students coming up with their own projects, their own, new service-based companies. Like, we try to support entrepreneurs here as well. So you learn the basic fundamental, and then you put it into your prototype, right? You build your own thing, and we'd love to see, your own projects being in MetaQuest, store, and even the Apple App Store one day.
We had one more sneak in there, Indy.
Oh.
Does the development course touch on sound design in VR? And I'm actually curious about this as well.
Sound design, we do not really take a lot of time teaching about sound design, but obviously we teach how to like integrate sound, how to mix some of those sounds together, but not especially like sound design, right? It should be something that's like, it's not XR related. It's something that a sound designer would take. But let's just say that you want to build like a meditation simulation in VR, and of course sound design is like a crucial factor. So you will learn how to actually mix some of those sounds together, how to add spatial sound, how to move sound around, like, how to make interactive sound effects, things like that. Like for example, you shoot a gun, and how a gun sound would be played when you shoot the gun. So those kind of things we teach, but sound design elements, that's not actually covered in the session. It's I think it's a different field.
Perfect. Well, and I think that makes sense where it would relate to XR and your interactions and how your application would work. There's sounds that need to go with certain movements, and there's music that would need to go with yoga apps, for example. So
Yeah.
I use some of them myself. So perfect. And then, we got a couple more that just came in. Does the price include taxes? I would have to double check on that one and see. I don't want to say yes or no here. 100%. I believe it does. I believe the price is all encompassed, but it might include provincial taxes as well. So I'm going to grab your information here, Gabriel, and we will reach back out to you and provide you specific information on that. My apologies, I didn't have an answer for you right away there. I see your thumbs up there, so that's perfect. And if I've already completed an MCS in circuit stream, here, I'll put this up on the screen. Did VR environments in Unity and finished design patterns course in Udemy. Can I still learn anything from this course? Sorry, I missed the syllabus.
Right. So, good question. The XR development with Unity, this is the 10 weeks course. You do not really learn, like, you learn some fundamentals of programming, but you don't learn like object-oriented programming or design patterns or anything, because it's 10 weeks and you need to like quickly get into XR development. So, but of course, for beginners out there, we teach a little bit of like fundamentals of programming. But now you've taken a master's in computer science. Obviously, you know everything. Obviously, you know what object-oriented programming is. You know, like distributed computing. It's good. It's really good. And you've already taken a VR environments course in Unity, and also have done like a design patterns course in Udemy. That is really cool. But here in our course, we don't teach any of those. We don't teach VR environment design. We basically teach how to build interactions, and it's not just VR. We cater to AR foundation, so you know how to build augmented reality applications as well, and also the fundamentals of 3D. So somebody who's coming from a computer science background, if you haven't actually used a lot of 3D programming, if you're not used to 3D programming, and you know, a little bit of physics, then of course this is a good course for you to step into to learn the VR, the fundamentals of VR. And on top of that, you can use the existing knowledge that you already have, like object-oriented programming, you know, and data structures and everything, to create your VR applications in a more scalable way, right? You can build scalable apps. You can optimize your app because you know all the fundamentals you've done already. And on top of that, after taking the course, you have the community to help you out in anything. You know, it's not just like taking just one course and forgetting about it. You have the community, you have the instructor support every time after taking the course. Let's just say that you want to build your own applications and you kind of have doubts on where to get started. Instructors are here to help you out.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect. And I got an answer there, Gabriel. I'm not sure if you're still in the room or not, but if you are, oh, I see some thumbs up there. I've confirmed the taxes are not included in the prices that we show. It would just be provincial taxes, dependent on where you're taking the course. So through McGill, it would just be provincial taxes for Quebec there. Perfect. Thumbs up. Awesome. Awesome. And I think that is it. Just because we were talking about some student success stories there, pay attention to both the McGill website and then also the Circuit Stream website. We'll be posting events leading forward. We do have an information session running through Circuit Stream specifically in 2 days. And then we will be running that McGill information session on September 21st, where we'll have the instructor from McGill, Manuel, joining us to kind of go through a little bit more information about the XR industry in Quebec too. So feel free to join us for those. I think we've gone through all the questions here. This was an amazing session. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We had some very engaging questions here, and we always appreciate that. Thank you, Indy, for the presentation. I think our other speaker has left, but Elisa, thank you so much for joining us from McGill. This recording will go out to everybody as soon as this event ends, but feel free to reach out to us here at Circuit Stream or at McGill if you have any questions at all. And we look forward to seeing you at the next event. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.